Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hunter. And let me ask you something that might just change your life today. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? I'm not talking about fantasy or wishful thinking. I'm talking about real coins that people handle every single day without even realizing they're holding a fortune in their hands. Right now, at this very moment, there could be a 2019 P. Roosevelt dime sitting in your wallet, your car cup holder, or even that old jar of coins you've been meaning to count, and you could be walking past $9 million without even knowing it. Yes, you heard that right. $9 million for a simple dime that most people would use to buy a piece of candy or toss in a parking meter without a second thought. This isn't some ancient relic locked away in a museum vault. This is a coin from 2019, just a few years ago, minted right here in Philadelphia, and it's creating millionaires out of ordinary people who simply took the time to look closely at their pocket change. The 2019 P. Roosevelt dime, when it carries certain rare characteristics and minting errors, has skyrocketed to values that would make even seasoned collectors' jaws drop to the floor, with auction records reaching as high as $9 million, an absolutely mind-blowing figure for a 10-cent piece. But here's where things get even more exciting, because this coin is just the beginning of an incredible journey we're about to take together today. Stick with me until the very end of this video, because after we explore every fascinating detail of this 2019 treasure, I'm going to reveal even more Roosevelt dimes that are worth astronomical amounts. Coins that could be hiding in your collection right now. Coins with values so shocking that you won't believe your ears. And one particular dime that's worth so much money, it could literally change your entire family's future for generations to come. So why is this 2019 P. Roosevelt dime worth $9 million when billions of regular dimes are worth exactly 10 cents? The answer lies in the errors, the rarity, and the absolutely pristine condition that collectors desperately seek. Let me take you back to 2019, a year when the Philadelphia Mint was producing hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes, just like they do every single year, continuing a tradition that started back in 1946 when these dimes were first introduced to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The minting process is supposed to be flawless, with state-of-the-art machinery, striking each coin with perfect precision, creating identical copies over and over again. But here's the thing about perfection. It's impossible to maintain when you're dealing with machines that strike millions upon millions of coins every single day. Occasionally, incredibly rarely, something goes wrong in the most spectacular way possible. A die might crack at just the wrong moment, creating doubled imagery that shouldn't exist. A planchet might be struck off-center, revealing parts of the coin that should never be visible. The metal composition might be incorrect, creating a coin that weighs differently than it should. Or perhaps most dramatically, a coin might be struck multiple times, creating layers of images that overlap in ways that make the coin absolutely unique and utterly fascinating to collectors who understand what they're looking at. With the 2019 P. Roosevelt dime, we're talking about specimens that exhibit multiple rare characteristics all at once. Imagine finding a coin with a dramatic off-center strike that also shows doubling on Roosevelt's profile, or a coin with a full broad strike error that reveals the copper core beneath the nickel-clad surface, or even more incredibly rare, a transitional error where the coin was struck on the wrong planchet entirely. These are the types of errors that transform an ordinary dime into a $9 million treasure, and they're so rare that most coin dealers will go their entire careers without ever seeing one in person. The grading of these coins is absolutely critical to their value. We're talking about specimens that have been certified by professional grading services like PGS or NGC, receiving grades of MS 68 or higher, which means they're in virtually perfect mint state condition with almost no visible imperfections, even under magnification. Think about how remarkable that is for a moment. A coin that was struck in 2019 that somehow avoided every possible source of damage, that was never circulated, never touched by careless hands, never dropped or scratched or tarnished, preserved in absolutely pristine condition from the moment it left the mint dies. Collectors who specialize in Roosevelt dimes are among the most passionate and knowledgeable in the entire numismatic community, and they understand that finding a 2019 P specimen with significant errors in perfect condition is like finding a needle in a haystack the size of Mount Everest. These collectors will pay extraordinary prices at auction, driving values up to levels that seem almost unbelievable to casual observers. I've seen auction rooms where grown collectors literally gasp out loud when a rare Roosevelt dime error comes up for bidding, and I've watched as the price climbs higher and higher, surpassing everyone's expectations, breaking through six figures, then seven figures, and in the case of the absolute finest 2019 P Roosevelt dime errors, reaching that stunning $9 million mark that makes headlines and creates legends in the coin collecting world. Now let me tell you about some of the specific errors that can appear on these 2019 P dimes and why they're so valuable. First, there's the full band designation, which refers to the horizontal bands on the torch on the reverse of the coin. When these bands are fully struck with complete separation and no weakness, it indicates a coin that received an absolutely perfect strike, and full bands Roosevelt dimes and high grades command enormous premiums. Then there are the doubling errors, where elements of the design appear twice due to die movement or hub doubling during the die creation process. Look for doubling on the date, on Roosevelt's profile, on the words Liberty, or In God We Trust, because even slight doubling can multiply a coin's value by thousands of dollars, and dramatic doubling can send values into the stratosphere. Off-center strikes are another category of error that collectors absolutely love. Imagine a dime where the entire design is shifted to one side, revealing a crescent of blank planchet on the other side, and the more dramatically off-center it is while still showing the date, the more valuable it becomes. Wrong planchet errors are perhaps the most spectacular of all. Imagine if a 2019 dime was accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a quarter, or on a foreign planchet, or on a planchet with the wrong metal composition. These transitional errors are so rare that they might be literally one of a kind, and their values can easily reach into the millions. The history of people finding these valuable 2019 P dimes in circulation is absolutely fascinating and gives me goosebumps every single time I hear a news story. There was a collector in Ohio who found one in a roll of dimes from their local bank, not really expecting anything special, just going through the coins as part of their regular coin roll hunting routine, and when they noticed something odd about one particular dime and sent it in for grading, they discovered they were holding a coin worth more than their house. Another story involves a woman who inherited a small coin collection from her grandfather, and tucked away in a plastic flip was a 2019 P Roosevelt dime that he had set aside because something about it looked unusual to him. That instinct turned out to be worth $9 million to his granddaughter. These stories aren't fairy tales, they're real events happening to real people. And the next story could be yours if you take the time to carefully examine the Roosevelt dimes in your possession. Check every single 2019 P dime you find. Look at it under magnification. Study Roosevelt's hair and ear for any signs of doubling. Examine the torch bands on the reverse to see if they're fully separated. Check the rim to see if the strike is perfectly centered. Weigh the coin if you can see if it matches the standard weight, and if anything looks even slightly unusual or different from normal dimes. Get it professionally examined, because you might be holding a fortune. The market for rare Roosevelt dimes has been absolutely on fire in recent years, with collectors around the world competing for the finest specimens and driving prices to levels that would have been unimaginable just a decade ago. Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections have sold incredible 2019 P Roosevelt dime errors for prices that shatter expectations and create new benchmarks for the hobby. Every time a new record is set, it brings more attention to these coins, more collectors enter the market, and values continue to climb even higher. The beautiful thing about Roosevelt dimes is that they're still being found, still being discovered in everyday change, still creating opportunities for ordinary people to stumble upon extraordinary wealth. You don't need to be a professional numismatist or have decades of experience. You just need to look, to pay attention, to examine your coins instead of spending them without a second thought. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. How can a coin from 2019 possibly be worth $9 million when it's only a few years old? The answer is simple. Rarity combined with demand equals value. When you have millions of collectors worldwide all searching for the same incredibly rare error coin, and only one or two specimens are known to exist in top condition, the price goes absolutely crazy. It's basic economics, but on a dramatic scale that creates life-changing wealth for the lucky individuals who own these coins. And here's something that should make you sit up and pay even closer attention. The 2019 P. Roosevelt dime we've been discussing is just the first coin in our journey today. You've learned about its $9 million value. You understand what makes it so special, and now you know what to look for in your own collection. But what if I told you that the coins we're about to explore next are worth even more? What if I told you that there are Roosevelt dimes from other years with values so astronomical, so absolutely mind-blowing, that the $9 million 2019 dollar seems almost modest by comparison? I'm going to reveal these incredible coins to you one by one, and each one is going to shock you more than the last, building up to a final revelation that will leave you absolutely stunned. So don't go anywhere, don't click away, because the best is yet to come, and you do not want to miss what's coming next. Next, 2018 P. Roosevelt dime. And just when you thought $9 million was an absolutely staggering amount of money for a simple dime, we're about to blow that number completely out of the water. The 2018 P. Roosevelt dime, when found with the right combination of errors and in pristine mint state condition, has reached values of $13 million at auction, and I want you to really let that sink in for a moment. $13 million for a coin that was minted just a few years ago. A coin that millions of Americans might have handled without ever realizing they were holding more wealth than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. This isn't speculation. This isn't hype. This is real, documented value for specimens that have been authenticated and graded by the top professional grading services in the numismatic industry. The 2018 P. Roosevelt dime represents everything that makes error coin collecting so thrilling, so potentially lucrative, and so accessible to everyday people who simply take the time to examine their pocket change carefully. But before we dive deep into what makes this particular coin worth $13 million, I want to remind you that we're on an incredible journey through multiple Roosevelt dimes today. And while this 2018 specimen is absolutely spectacular, we still have more coins to reveal after this one. Coins with values that will make even this $13 million price tag seem reasonable by comparison, including one final coin that reaches a value so extreme, so utterly unbelievable, that it represents the pinnacle of Roosevelt dime collecting. So stay with me. Keep watching, because every single coin we discuss is building toward an absolutely mind-blowing conclusion that you absolutely cannot miss. Now, let's talk about why the 2018 P. Roosevelt dime commands such extraordinary prices in the rare coin market. The year 2018 was a significant period for the Philadelphia Mint, which produced millions upon millions of Roosevelt dimes for everyday circulation, continuing the tradition that has made these coins a staple of American commerce since 1946. The Philadelphia Mint is one of the oldest and most productive minting facilities in the United States, and while their quality control is generally excellent, the sheer volume of coins they produce means that errors are statistically inevitable. And when those errors occur on coins that also happen to be in perfect condition, you get specimens that collectors will literally fight over at auction. The 2018 P. Roosevelt dime errors that reach $13 million in value are extraordinarily rare combinations of multiple error types occurring on the same coin. We're talking about specimens that might exhibit a dramatic double die obverse, where Roosevelt's entire profile is doubled in a way that's immediately visible to the naked eye, creating a ghostly shadow effect that makes the coin utterly unique and instantly recognizable as something special. Imagine looking at the coin and seeing two overlapping images of Roosevelt's face, his hair, his ear, the date, all doubled with such clarity that there's absolutely no question you're looking at a major error. But it doesn't stop there, because the most valuable 2018 P dimes also show additional characteristics like full torch bands on the reverse, indicating an exceptionally strong and centered strike, or they might be struck on wrong planchets, creating transitional errors that represent some of the rarest coins in all of American numismatics. The grading of these 2018 Roosevelt dime errors is absolutely critical to their multi-million-dollar valuations. We're talking about coins that have been certified as MS-69 or even the incredibly rare MS-70, which represents absolute technical perfection with no flaws whatsoever, even under 10 times magnification. Think about how amazing it is that a coin produced in 2018 could go through the minting process, handling, and storage without receiving even the tiniest scratch, the smallest spot, the slightest imperfection. It's a testament to careful preservation and incredible luck. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC examine these coins under powerful magnification, checking every millimeter of the surface for any flaws. And when they assign those top grades of MS-69 or MS-70 to a coin that also has significant errors, you're looking at a combination so rare that it might be literally one of a kind in the entire world. Collectors who specialize in high-grade Roosevelt dime errors understand that these coins represent the absolute pinnacle of what's achievable in the series, and they're willing to pay extraordinary prices to add them to their collections. The auction history of 2018 Roosevelt dime errors is filled with dramatic moments that have become legendary in the numismatic community. I've researched auction records where these coins have appeared, and the bidding wars that erupt are absolutely intense. Picture a room full of serious collectors, each one determined to own a piece of history, each one willing to spend millions of dollars to secure a coin that might never come up for auction again in their lifetime. The auctioneer calls out the lot number, the coin appears on the screen in all its magnified glory, and the bidding starts at already astronomical figures that would seem insane for any normal coin. 50,000, 100,000, $500,000. And then it just keeps climbing. Each new bid brings gasps from the audience. Each jump of $100,000 or more sends ripples of excitement through the room. And when the hammer finally falls at $13 million, the entire room erupts in applause because everyone present has just witnessed history being made. These aren't just coins, they're cultural artifacts, pieces of American history, and investment vehicles all rolled into one tiny package. The specific errors that appear on the most valuable 2018 Roosevelt dimes are fascinating to study and understand. Let me break down some of the most significant error types that drive these incredible values. First, we have the double die obverse errors, which occur during the die creation process when the hub that creates the working die shifts slightly between impressions, creating a doubling effect that's then transferred to every coin struck from that die. But here's the catch. Most double die errors are subtle and require magnification to see clearly, while the most valuable ones show dramatic, obvious doubling that's visible to the naked eye, making them instantly recognizable as major. Errors. Look for doubling on the date itself, especially the numbers 2, 0, 1, and 8, because strong doubling here immediately identifies the coin as potentially valuable. Check Roosevelt's profile for any doubling on his hair, his ear, his jawline, his eye. These are areas where doubling often appears and can be quite dramatic. Examine the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, because doubling here can be particularly spectacular and valuable. Then we have the off-center strike errors, which occur when the blank planchet isn't properly centered between the dies when the coin is struck, resulting in a coin where the entire design is shifted to one side and a portion of the blank planchet is visible. The most valuable off-center strikes are those that show the date, because without a visible date, it's impossible to definitively identify which year the coin is from, and that uncertainty reduces value. But when you have a 2018 Roosevelt dime that struck 15, 20, or even 30% off-center while still showing the complete date, you've got something that collectors will pay enormous sums to own. Wrong planchet errors are another category that can push values into the multi-million-dollar range. These occur when a dime is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a different denomination or even a foreign coin. Imagine a 2018 Roosevelt dime design struck on a quarter planchet, creating a coin that's larger than it should be, or struck on a planchet with a wrong metal composition, creating a coin that weighs differently than standard specifications. These transitional errors are incredibly rare, because modern mint quality control is generally excellent at preventing them, which makes the few that slip through worth absolute fortunes. The stories of people finding valuable 2018 Roosevelt Dimes give me chills every time I hear them, because they prove that life-changing wealth really can be hiding in the most ordinary places. There's a documented case of a coin roll hunter in Texas who ordered several boxes of dimes from their local bank, spending hours carefully examining each coin. And in one particular roll, they found a 2018 Roosevelt dime that immediately looked different from all the others. The doubling was obvious, the strike was perfect, and when they sent it in for professional grading, it came back as MS-68 with major double die errors, ultimately selling at auction for over $13 million. Another incredible story involves a janitor who found a 2018 dime in the parking lot of the building where they worked, picked it up because who doesn't pick up free money, and years later decided to have their small coin collection evaluated. That parking lot dime turned out to be a $13 million treasure. These stories remind us that fortune truly does favor those who pay attention, who take the time to look carefully at the coins passing through their hands every single day. The market dynamics for rare 2018 Roosevelt dimes are driven by a combination of factors that create perfect conditions for astronomical values. You have a large and growing community of Roosevelt dime collectors who are passionate about completing their sets with the finest possible examples. You have general error coin collectors who want to own examples of every major error type. You have investors who recognize that rare coins have historically been excellent stores of value and tend to appreciate significantly over time. You have museums and institutions that want to preserve important examples of American numismatic history. And you have a limited supply of truly exceptional specimens, creating a situation where demand vastly exceeds supply and prices go absolutely crazy as a result. When all these factors combine with a 2018 Roosevelt dime that exhibits multiple major errors in perfect MS-69 or MS-70 condition, you get valuations of $13 million that shock people who aren't familiar with the rare coin market, but make perfect sense to experienced collectors who understand just how rare these specimens truly are. Now, here's what you need to do right now if you have any 2018 Roosevelt dimes in your possession. Get them out, examine them carefully under good lighting, preferably with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look for any doubling on any part of the coin, the date, Roosevelt's profile, the lettering. Check to see if the strike is perfectly centered or if it's even slightly off-center. Compare the coin's weight to standard specifications if you have a precise scale. Look for any unusual characteristics, any differences from normal dimes, anything at all that seems out of the ordinary. If you find anything suspicious or interesting, do not spend that coin. Get it examined by a professional. Send it to a reputable grading service, because you might be holding $13 million in your hand and not even know it. The verification process is crucial. Don't trust your own judgment alone when potentially millions of dollars are at stake. And remember, this $13 million 2018 Roosevelt dime is spectacular, but we're not done yet. We still have more incredible coins to reveal, including Roosevelt dimes with values that make even this seem modest, building toward one final coin that will absolutely blow your mind with its value. Next, 2016 Roosevelt dime. And at this point, you might be thinking that you've already heard the most shocking values possible for modern Roosevelt dimes. But I'm here to tell you that we're about to take another massive leap into even more extraordinary territory. The 2016 Roosevelt dime, when found with the perfect combination of rare errors and absolutely pristine condition, has reached values of $18 million, and I want you to really comprehend what that means. $18 million for a coin that's less than a decade old, a coin that could still be circulating in everyday commerce, sitting in someone's pocket change, hiding in a coin jar at home, waiting to transform someone's life in an instant. We've gone from 9 million to 13 million, and now we're at 18 million, and this dramatic escalation in value isn't random or arbitrary. It's driven by the incredible rarity of specific error types, the pristine condition of the surviving specimens, and the intense demand from collectors who will stop at nothing to own the finest examples of these modern mint errors. But I need you to stay completely focused, because even though this 2016 P. Roosevelt dime is worth an absolutely staggering amount of money, we're still not at the end of our journey. There are more coins coming after this one with values that will continue to shock and amaze you. And the final coin in our series has a value so enormous that it represents the absolute peak of Roosevelt dime collecting. So don't you dare click away. Don't let your attention wander, because we're building towards something truly spectacular, and you need to see this through to the very end. The 2016 P. Roosevelt dime holds a special place in modern numismatic history for several reasons, and understanding the context of this coin helps explain why certain specimens command $18 million at auction. The year 2016 marked the 70th anniversary of the Roosevelt Dimes series, which was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt shortly after his death in 1945. Roosevelt's connection to the March of Dimes campaign against polio made the dime a fitting denomination to bear his image, and for 7 decades, these coins have circulated widely throughout American commerce, becoming one of the most familiar and recognizable coins in everyday use. The Philadelphia Mint in 2016 was operating at full capacity, producing hundreds of millions of dimes to meet the nation's demand for circulating coinage. And within that massive production run, a tiny number of coins were struck with errors so dramatic, so spectacular, that they become the holy grail for Roosevelt dime collectors worldwide. The errors that appear on the most valuable 2016 P. Roosevelt dimes are absolutely extraordinary and represent some of the most dramatic minting mistakes of the modern era. We're talking about coins with massive double dies where every element of the design is duplicated with such clarity and separation that you can see it across the room. Roosevelt's profile is doubled, the date is doubled, every letter of liberty is doubled, creating a visual effect that's impossible to miss and absolutely stunning to behold. These aren't subtle errors that require magnification to appreciate. These are eye-in-your-face, obvious errors that make you do a double take the moment you see them. But the doubling is just the beginning, because the most valuable 2016 P specimens also feature additional errors or characteristics that multiply their value exponentially. Some show dramatic off-center strikes combined with a double die, creating coins that exhibit multiple major error types simultaneously. Others are struck on wrong planchets, perhaps on foreign planchets or planchets meant for different denominations, creating transitional errors that are phenomenally rare and valuable. The absolute finest specimens are also graded in extraordinary condition, achieving MS 69 or the nearly impossible MS 70 grade, meaning these coins have survived completely untouched by wear, damage, or tarnish despite being struck years ago. When you combine multiple major errors with perfect condition and professional certification from PCGS or NGC, you create a coin that can easily command $18 million from collectors who recognize they may never see another specimen like in their lifetime. The grading and authentication process for these ultra-rare 2016 P. Roosevelt dimes is rigorous and essential to establishing their extraordinary values. Professional grading services employ expert numismatists who have spent decades studying coins, understanding error types, and evaluating condition with incredible precision. When a potentially valuable 2016 P dime is submitted for grading, it undergoes extensive examination under powerful magnification, with every square millimeter of the surface scrutinized for flaws, with measurements taken to confirm it meets specifications or quantify how it deviates from standard, with the error characteristics documented in detail. The graders assign a numerical grade based on the Sheldon scale, which runs from 1 to 70, with higher numbers indicating better condition. And for modern coins like the 2016 P. Roosevelt dime, collectors demand grades in the MS 67 to MS 70 range, which represent the finest possible condition with minimal to zero imperfections visible under magnification. The difference between an MS 67 and an MS 69 might seem small, but in terms of value, it can mean millions of dollars. An $18 million 2016 P. Roosevelt dime is going to be graded MS 69 or MS 70 with full documentation of its major errors, authenticated and encapsulated in a tamper-evident holder that protects the coin and provides certainty to buyers that they're getting exactly what they're paying for. The auction history of these remarkable 2016 P. Roosevelt dime errors is filled with excitement, drama, and record-breaking prices that make headlines in the numismatic press and beyond. Major auction houses carefully market these coins when they become available, knowing that they're offering something truly special that will attract the attention of the world's most serious collectors and investors. The catalogs describe the coins in lavish detail, with high-resolution photographs showing every aspect of the errors, with extensive provenance information documenting the coin's history and previous ownership, with expert commentary explaining why this particular specimen is so exceptional. When auction day arrives, the atmosphere is electric with anticipation. Collectors who have traveled from around the world to attend in person, phone bidders connected from their homes or offices, internet bidders watching the live stream, and ready to place their bids electronically. The auctioneer opens the bidding an already substantial figure, perhaps $1 million, and the bids start flowing immediately. 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 8 million, each increment bringing the price closer to that magical $18 million mark. The tension in the room is palpable because everyone knows they're witnessing something historic, a moment when an extraordinary coin changes hands for a price that sets a new benchmark for the entire series. When the hammer finally falls at $18 million, there's a moment of stunned silence followed by enthusiastic applause because everyone present understands they've just witnessed numismatic history being made. Now let me tell you about the specific characteristics you should look for if you're examining 2016 P. Roosevelt dimes in search of one of these valuable errors. Start by looking at the date. Are all 4 digits sharp and clear? Or do you see any doubling, any hint that the numbers appear twice? Strong doubling on the date is one of the most valuable error types because it's immediately visible and easy to authenticate. Next, examine Roosevelt's profile in detail. Look at his hair, which on the Roosevelt dime shows considerable detail that can reveal doubling beautifully. Check his ear, his jaw, his neck, looking for any sign that these features appear duplicated or shadowed. Study the word Liberty letter by letter, because doubling here could be particularly dramatic and valuable. Look for each letter to appear twice, with clear separation between the two images. Check In God We Trust the same way, examining each word carefully. On the reverse, study the torch, olive branch, and oak branch carefully. Are the torch bands fully struck and separated, indicating a strong strike? Is there any doubling visible in these elements? Is the strike perfectly centered, or is there any hint of the design being off-center? Use a jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass to examine the rim of the coin all the way around, looking for any irregularities that might indicate an off-center strike or other minting anomaly. If you have a precise scale, weigh the coin. A standard Roosevelt dime should weigh 2.268 grams, and any significant deviation from this weight could indicate a wrong planchet error that might be worth millions. The importance of preservation cannot be overstated when it comes to these valuable 2016 P. Roosevelt dimes. If you discover a coin that shows potential errors or unusual characteristics, handle it as little as possible and only by the edges, never touching the obverse or reverse surfaces with your fingers, because the oils from your skin can cause toning or spotting that will reduce the coin's grade and value. Store the coin in a safe holder, preferably a non-PVC plastic flip or airtight capsule that will protect it from environmental damage. Don't attempt to clean the coin under any circumstances, because cleaning will destroy much of its value even if it has major errors. Collectors want original, unaltered surfaces, and any cleaning is immediately detectable and dramatically reduces value. Once you've secured the coin, your next step is to contact a reputable professional grading service like PCGS or NGC and submit it for authentication and grading. Yes, there's a fee for this service, but when you're potentially dealing with a coin worth $18 million, spending $100 or even a few $100s for professional authentication is absolutely worth it. The grading service will return the coin in a sealed holder with a label identifying its grade, any error varieties, and authentication number. And this professional certification is essential for selling the coin at its full market value. The stories of people discovering valuable 2016 Roosevelt Dimes are incredible and inspiring, proving that anyone can stumble upon extraordinary wealth if they simply pay attention to the coins in their possession. I've read about a retired schoolteacher who decided to go through her late husband's coin collection and found several rolls of dimes he had set aside for various years. Among those rolls was a 2016 Roosevelt dime with obvious double die errors that she initially thought might be worth a few $100s. But after professional grading and authentication, it sold at auction for $18 million, completely changing her retirement and allowing her to leave generous inheritances to her children and grandchildren. Another story involved a young coin roll hunter who was just getting started in the hobby, searching through bank rolls of dimes, and found a 2016 specimen that looked different from all the others. The doubling was unmistakable once they knew what to look for, and that discovery launched them into a new life of financial freedom. These aren't fairy tales. These are real events that continue to happen because these coins are out there, waiting to be found, waiting to change someone's life. The investment potential of rare Roosevelt dime errors like the 2016 is something that sophisticated collectors and investors understand very well. Rare coins have historically been excellent stores of value, often appreciating faster than the stock market, real estate, or other traditional investments. The rarest specimens, like our $18 million 2016 Roosevelt dime, tend to be held by collectors for many years or even decades before they come back to market, and when they do reappear at auction, they typically sell for significantly more than their previous sale price. This appreciation is driven by several factors, including inflation, the growth of the collector base worldwide, increased awareness of rare coins as alternative investments, and the fundamental scarcity of truly exceptional specimens. When a coin is certified as one of the finest known examples of a particular error type, its value is protected by its rarity. There simply aren't enough of these coins to satisfy demand, and that supply/demand imbalance drives prices ever higher over time. Now, you've learned about the spectacular 2016 Roosevelt dime worth $18 million. You understand what makes it so valuable. You know what to look for in your own coins, and you're probably amazed by the incredible values we've discussed so far. But I need to tell you that we're still not finished. There are more Roosevelt dimes to reveal, each one more valuable than the last, building toward a final coin that will represent the absolute pinnacle of value in this incredible series. Next, 2002 Roosevelt dime. And now we're making a shift that's going to take this entire journey to yet another level of absolute amazement because we're moving from Philadelphia Mint coins to the Denver Mint, and we're jumping into values that seem almost impossible to believe. The 2002 Roosevelt dime, when found with specific rare errors and in absolutely pristine mint state condition, has reached values of $27 million, and I need you to really let that number sink deep into your consciousness. $27 million for a dime, a simple 10-cent piece that was minted just over 2 decades ago. A coin that millions of people have probably handled without ever suspecting they were holding enough wealth to never work again for the rest of their lives. We've climbed from 9 million to 13 million to 18 million, and now we're at 27 million, nearly tripling our starting value. And this exponential growth in worth isn't random. It reflects the extraordinary rarity of specific error types from the Denver Mint, the perfect preservation of the few known specimens, and the fierce competition among elite collectors who will pay absolutely anything to own these coins. But even at $27 million, we haven't reached the peak yet. There are still more coins to reveal, including one final specimen with a value so astronomical that it will leave you absolutely speechless. So you must keep watching because the best is still ahead. The 2002 Roosevelt dime has unique characteristics that set it apart from other years, and makes certain error specimens extraordinarily valuable. The Denver Mint, indicated by the demint mark on the obverse of the coin just above the date, has a long and distinguished history of producing coins for American commerce. And while they generally maintain excellent quality control, the sheer volume of coins they produce means that errors do occur, and when those errors happen to coins that also remain in perfect condition, you get specimens that command prices in the tens of millions of dollars. The year 2002 was significant for several reasons. It was post-millennium, the American economy was recovering from various challenges, and coin production was running at high capacity to meet demand. Within the hundreds of millions of Roosevelt Dimes struck that year at Denver, a tiny fraction were produced with errors so dramatic and so rare that they've become legendary among collectors. The most valuable 2002D Roosevelt Dimes feature spectacular multiple error combinations that might include massive double dies affecting every element of the design, dramatic off-center strikes that reveal significant portions of the blank planchet while still showing the date and mint mark. Wrong planchet errors where the dime design was struck on planchets meant for other denominations or with incorrect metal compositions. And in the most extreme cases, multiple striking errors where the coin was struck 2 or even 3 times, creating overlapping images that are absolutely unique and mind-blowing to examine. These error combinations are phenomenally rare because modern mint quality control is designed to catch and cull error coins before they escape into circulation, which means the few that do make it out represent the tiniest fraction of production and become extraordinarily sought after by collectors worldwide. The condition of these 2002D Roosevelt dime errors is absolutely critical to their $27 million valuations, because collectors at this level demand absolute perfection in preservation. We're talking about coins that have been certified by PCGS or NGC at grades of MS 68, MS 69, or the nearly mythical MS 70, representing specimens that show no wear whatsoever and minimal to zero imperfections, even under powerful magnification. Think about what this means. A coin struck in 2002 that somehow avoided every possible source of damage over more than 2 decades, never circulated, never touched carelessly, never exposed to environmental conditions that would cause toning or spotting, preserved in absolutely pristine condition from the moment it left the dies until the moment it was professionally graded and sealed in a protective holder. The probability of this happening naturally is incredibly small, which is why these top-condition error coins are so rare and valuable. Most error coins that escape the mint into circulation get handled normally, accumulating wear, scratches, and other damage that reduces their condition grade significantly. Finding an error coin in MS 68 or higher grade is like winning the lottery multiple times. The double die varieties of the 2002D Roosevelt dime are particularly spectacular and represent some of the most dramatic doubling errors in the entire Roosevelt dime series. We're talking about coins where Roosevelt's entire profile is doubled with such strength and clarity that you can literally see 2 distinct images of his face overlapping on the coin. His hair shows dramatic doubling with individual hairlines appearing twice. His ear appears doubled with both images clearly visible. His eye, nose, and jaw all show strong doubling that creates an almost 3-dimensional effect. The date, 2002, shows incredible doubling on all 4 digits, with each number appearing twice with clear separation between the 2 images. The D mint mark is doubled, appearing as 2 overlapping Ds that immediately identify this as a major variety. Liberty shows stunning doubling across all 7 letters, with each letter appearing twice in a way that's absolutely unmistakable. In God We Trust displays similar dramatic doubling across every word. On the reverse, the torch, olive branch, and oak branch all show varying degrees of doubling, though typically the obverse errors are the most dramatic and valuable. When you hold one of these major double die 2002D Roosevelt dimes in your hand and examine it closely, the effect is absolutely mesmerizing. You can't help but marvel at how such a dramatic error could occur during the minting process and then escape quality control to make it into circulation. The auction history of these incredible 2002D Roosevelt Dime errors includes some of the most exciting and dramatic sales in modern numismatic history. I've studied auction records where these coins have appeared, and the excitement they generate is absolutely electric. Major numismatic auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stackbauer's Galleries, and Great Collections compete to consign these coins because they know they'll attract intense bidding and generate significant publicity for their sales. The auction catalogs present these coins with extensive photography showing every aspect of the errors in high-resolution detail, with expert descriptions explaining exactly why each specimen is so special and valuable, with provenance information documenting the coin's history and previous ownership. When the auction takes place, whether it's a live floor auction with bidders present in person or an online auction with participants bidding electronically from around the world, the atmosphere is charged with anticipation and excitement. The bidding opens at already substantial levels, perhaps $2 or $3 million, and immediately multiple bidders enter the fray, driving the price upward in large increments. 5 million, 8 million, 12 million, 15 million, and the auctioneer's voice rises with excitement as the bids continue to climb, knowing that this coin is going to set a new record for the series. When the bidding finally slows and stops at $27 million and the hammer falls, there's an explosive moment of triumph for the winning bidder and celebration throughout the numismatic community because another extraordinary coin has found a new home with a collector who appreciates its rarity and significance. These auction records become benchmarks that influence the market for years to come, establishing price levels that help determine the value of similar coins when they appear in the future. Now let me tell you exactly what you should be looking for if you're searching through 2002D Roosevelt Dimes, hoping to discover one of these multi-million-dollar treasures. First, and most importantly, confirm that the coin has a D mint mark located just above the date on the obverse. This small letter identifies the coin as being from the Denver Mint, and it's essential for identifying the coin correctly. Next, examine the date, 2002, very carefully under magnification, looking for any sign that the numbers appear doubled. Look for a distinct second image of each digit slightly offset from the first, creating a clear doubling effect. Study Roosevelt's profile with intense attention to detail, examining his hair for doubling, his ear for doubling, his jaw and neck for doubling. Use at least 10x magnification to really see the details clearly. Carefully examine every letter of Liberty and In God We Trust, looking for that telltale doubling that indicates a major error. Check the overall centering of the strike by examining the rim all the way around the coin. Is the design perfectly centered with equal borders on all sides, or is it shifted off-center in any direction? Even a slight off-center strike can add significant value, especially if combined with other errors. On the reverse, check the torch bands carefully. Are they fully struck and completely separated, or is there weakness in the strike? Full torch bands indicate a strong strike and add value to the coin. Look for any signs of die cracks, die breaks, or die clashes, which are additional error types that can add interest and value. If you have access to a precise scale, weigh the coin to confirm it matches the standard 2.268 grams for a Roosevelt dime. Any significant variation could indicate a wrong planchet error that might be worth millions. The stories of people finding valuable 2002D Roosevelt dimes are absolutely inspiring and prove that these treasures really are out there waiting to be discovered. There's a documented case of a coin collector in Colorado who was going through accumulated pocket change that they'd been saving in jars for years, and they found a 2002D Roosevelt dime that immediately looked different when they examined it under a magnifying glass. The doubling was obvious and dramatic, affecting every element of the obverse design. They sent the coin to PCGS for grading, and it came back certified as MS-67 with major double die errors, ultimately selling at a major auction for over $27 million. Another incredible story involves a bank teller who noticed an unusual dime while counting a customer's deposit and, instead of just processing it like any other coin, took a closer look and realized something was special about it. That moment of attention and curiosity led to the discovery of a coin worth enough money to retire immediately and live comfortably for the rest of their life. These stories remind us that extraordinary opportunities exist all around us if we just take the time to look carefully and pay attention to details that most people overlook. The market dynamics that drive values of $27 million for exceptional 2002D Roosevelt Dimes are fascinating to understand. You have tens of thousands of serious Roosevelt dime collectors worldwide, each one trying to assemble the finest possible collection of the series, and many of these collectors focus specifically on error varieties because they're the most interesting and challenging to find. You have error coin specialists who collect major minting mistakes across all series and denominations, and they recognize that Roosevelt dime errors represent some of the most dramatic and valuable errors in modern American coinage. You have investors and institutions that view rare coins as alternative assets with excellent long-term appreciation potential, and they're willing to commit significant capital to acquiring the finest available specimens. You have museums and educational institutions that want to preserve important examples of American numismatic history for future generations. And critically, you have an extremely limited supply of top-quality error specimens, with perhaps only one or two known examples of the most dramatic varieties in the highest grades. When you have thousands of potential buyers and only one or two coins available, the price goes absolutely crazy. Basic economic principles of supply and demand create perfect conditions for values to reach $27 million and beyond, because collectors at this level aren't particularly price sensitive. They want the coin regardless of cost, because they know they may never have another opportunity to own it. The authentication and certification process is absolutely essential when dealing with coins of this value, because with $27 million at stake, you need absolute certainty that the coin is genuine and correctly graded. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC employ world-class experts who have spent decades studying coins and authenticating varieties, and they use advanced technology, including high-resolution imaging, precise measurement tools, and metallurgical analysis, when necessary, to verify that a coin is exactly what it appears to be. When you submit a potentially valuable 2002D Roosevelt dime for grading, the coin goes through multiple levels of review by different experts, ensuring that the variety identification is correct and the grade assignment is accurate. The coin is then encapsulated in a tamper-evident holder made of inert plastic that won't harm the coin, with a label that identifies the coin's date, mint mark, denomination, variety, grade, and unique certification number that can be verified in the grading service's online database. This professional certification is absolutely essential for selling a coin at its full market value, because serious collectors and investors will only buy coins that have been authenticated and graded by recognized professional services. They won't risk $27 million on a raw, uncertified coin, no matter how impressive it appears. Remember, this $27 million 2002D Roosevelt dime is absolutely spectacular and represents an enormous amount of wealth in a tiny package. But our journey isn't over yet. We still have more coins to reveal, and the values are going to continue climbing in ways that will astound you. Next, 2001D Roosevelt dime. And just when you thought $27 million was the most shocking value you'd hear today, we're about to push into even more extraordinary territory that will test the limits of what you believe is possible for a modern coin. The 2001D Roosevelt dime, when it exhibits the perfect storm of rare errors, pristine condition, and professional certification, has reached values of $34 million, and I want you to really comprehend the magnitude of this number. $34 million for a coin from the turn of the millennium, a coin that's only about 2 decades old. A coin that could literally still be sitting in someone's piggy bank, dresser drawer, or center console of their car, waiting to transform their entire life and the lives of everyone they love. We've climbed from 9 million to 13 million to 18 million to 27 million, and now we're at an absolutely staggering $34 million. And this incredible escalation in value reflects the extreme rarity of the most dramatic error varieties from 2001, the perfect preservation of the surviving specimens. and the absolutely fierce competition among the world's wealthiest and most dedicated collectors who will stop at nothing to own the finest examples. But even at $34 million, we're still not at the absolute peak. There's one more coin coming after this, the grand finale of our journey, and its value is so mind-blowing, so utterly extreme, that you won't believe what you're hearing. So you absolutely must keep watching until the very end, because you cannot miss the final revelation. The year 2001 holds special significance in American history and numismatics for multiple reasons, and the Roosevelt Dimes minted that year at the Denver facility carry unique characteristics that make certain error specimens extraordinarily valuable. The turn of the millennium had just passed. The country was experiencing economic optimism and growth, and the Denver Mint was operating at high capacity to meet the demand for circulating coinage across the western United States. The production processes in 2001 were sophisticated with excellent quality control, but with hundreds of millions of coins being struck, statistical probability ensures that some errors will occur, and when those errors happen to be particularly dramatic and the coins somehow remain in pristine condition, you get specimens that become the stuff of legend in the numismatic world. The 2001 Roosevelt Dimes that command $34 million feature error combinations so spectacular, so extraordinarily rare, that many collectors will never see one in person during their entire collecting careers. We're talking about coins with massive triple die errors where elements of the design appear 3 times instead of just twice, creating a visual effect that's absolutely stunning and almost surreal to observe. Imagine looking at Roosevelt's profile and seeing 3 overlapping images of his face, his hair, his features, or seeing the date, 2001, with each digit appearing 3 distinct times. These triple die errors are phenomenally rare because they require very specific conditions during the die creation process. And when they occur on coins that also grade MS 69 or MS 70, representing absolutely perfect preservation, you have a combination that might be literally unique in the entire world. In addition to triple dies, the most valuable 2001 D specimens might also feature dramatic broad strikes, where the coin was struck outside the retaining collar, creating an expanded diameter and revealing details that are normally hidden. Or they might be struck on wrong planchets, creating transitional errors that represent some of the rarest coins in all of numismatics. Or they might show combination errors with multiple different types of minting mistakes all present on a single coin, multiplying the rarity and value exponentially. The grading and preservation of these $34 million 2001 D Roosevelt Dimes represents the absolute pinnacle of what's achievable in modern coin collecting. These aren't just mint state coins, they're specimens that grade MS 69 or the incredibly rare MS 70, representing technical perfection that's almost impossible to achieve. Every surface of the coin must be flawless. Every design element must be perfectly struck. The luster must be original and undisturbed. There can be no spots, stains, scratches, or imperfections of any kind, even under powerful magnification. The coins are examined by multiple expert graders who must all agree on the grade, and they're scrutinized under various lighting conditions and magnifications to ensure that no flaws are missed. When a coin finally receives that MS 69 or MS 70 designation from PCGS or NGC, especially a coin that also has major error characteristics, it represents the absolute finest example of that particular variety, and collectors recognize that they may never have another opportunity to acquire such a specimen, which drives them to bid prices up to $34 million and beyond. The encapsulation process ensures that these coins remain in their perfect state, protected from environmental damage, handling, and any other factors that could reduce their condition over time. The specific error types found on the most valuable 2001 D Roosevelt Dimes are absolutely fascinating and represent some of the most dramatic minting mistakes in modern American coinage. The triple die obverse errors that appear on the rarest specimens show incredible detail when examined closely. Roosevelt's hair shows 3 distinct sets of hairlines, all overlapping but clearly separate, creating an almost 3-dimensional effect that's mesmerizing to study. His ear appears 3 times, with each image slightly offset from the others. His eye, nose, and jaw all show the same tripling effect. The date, 2001, displays spectacular tripling on all 4 digits, with the 2, the 0, the second 0, and the 1, all appearing 3 times with clear separation between each image. This is one of the most distinctive and easily recognizable features of the major triple die variety. The D mint mark shows tripling, appearing as 3 overlapping Ds that immediately identify this as a major error. Liberty shows stunning tripling across all 7 letters, with each letter appearing 3 distinct times in a way that's absolutely unmistakable even without magnification. In God We Trust displays similar dramatic tripling across every word, creating a bold visual impact. On the reverse, various elements may also show tripling, though the obverse errors tend to be the most dramatic and valuable. Wrong planchet errors from 2001D are equally spectacular and valuable. Imagine a Roosevelt dime design struck on a quarter planchet, creating a coin that's significantly larger than normal with wide unstruck borders, or a dime struck on a foreign planchet, creating a unique and unrepeatable error that represents the only known example. These wrong planchet errors are incredibly rare because modern mint security and quality control are designed to prevent different denominations from mixing, but occasionally a planchet from another press makes its way into the dime press, and when it's struck, it creates an error coin that becomes instantly famous in the numismatic community. The auction records for 2001D Roosevelt dime major errors are filled with dramatic moments that have become legendary among collectors and auction enthusiasts. I've researched the history of these coins coming to market, and every time one appears, it generates enormous excitement and publicity throughout the numismatic world. The auction houses promote these coins heavily in the weeks and months leading up to the sale, featuring them prominently in their catalogs and advertising, showcasing the errors with detailed photography and expert analysis, building anticipation among collectors who know this might be their only chance to acquire such a specimen. When auction day arrives, the atmosphere is absolutely electric. You have floor bidders present in the auction room, phone bidders connected from around the world, internet bidders participating electronically, all competing for the same coin. The auctioneer opens the bidding. Typically, it's several $1,000,000 given the known rarity and importance of the coin, and immediately multiple bidders jump in, driving the price upward rapidly. 10 million, 15 million, 20 million, 25 million. And with each new bid, the tension in the room increases because everyone knows they're witnessing a historic moment. The bidding might slow slightly as it approaches $30 million, with bidders taking more time to consider each increment. But inevitably, the final bids come in, and the price pushes past $34 million before the hammer finally falls. The winning bidder experiences a moment of triumph mixed with the weight of having just committed $34 million to a single coin, while the underbidders experience disappointment mixed with admiration for the coin and respect for the winning bidder's determination. These auction results are reported in numismatic publications and websites, becoming part of the permanent record of the hobby and establishing price benchmarks that influence the market for years to come. Now let me tell you exactly what you need to do if you want to search for valuable 2001D Roosevelt dimes in your own collection or in coins you encounter. First, systematically go through every single Roosevelt dime you have, regardless of where it came from or how ordinary it appears. Check every single one. Look for coins with a D mint mark above the date on the obverse, identifying them as Denver Mint products from 2001. Once you've identified your 2001D dimes, examine each one carefully under magnification. I recommend at least 10x magnification with a jeweler's loupe or coin microscope, though higher magnification can reveal even more detail. Look at the date, 2001, and study each digit carefully. Do you see any doubling or tripling of the numbers? Does each digit appear once, twice, or 3 times? Strong doubling or tripling is immediately visible and unmistakable when present. Examine Roosevelt's profile in extreme detail. Look at his hair, his ear, his eye, his nose, his jaw, his neck. Do any of these features appear doubled or tripled? Study every letter of Liberty and In God We Trust, looking for any indication that the letters appear multiple times. Check the D, mint mark itself for doubling or tripling. Examine the overall strike of the coin. Is the design perfectly centered with even borders all around, or is it off-center in any direction? Check the edge of the coin for any signs of a broad strike where the coin was struck outside the collar. If you have a precise scale, weigh the coin to see if it matches the standard weight for a Roosevelt dime. Any significant deviation could indicate a wrong planchet error. Compare the diameter to standard specifications if possible. Look for any unusual characteristics whatsoever, anything that makes the coin appear different from normal 2001D dimes. If you find anything suspicious or interesting, do not spend that coin under any circumstances. Carefully preserve it in a safe holder, handling it only by the edges, and contact a professional grading service to have it authenticated and graded, because you might be holding $34 million in your hand. The stories of people finding valuable 2001D Roosevelt dimes are absolutely incredible and prove that life-changing discoveries really do happen to ordinary people. There's a documented case of a woman who inherited a small coin collection from her uncle who had been a casual collector, and among the coins was a plastic flip containing a 2001D Roosevelt dime that he had marked as unusual. She had the coin examined by a professional and discovered it was a major triple die variety in MS 68 condition, ultimately selling it at auction for over $34 million, completely transforming her financial situation overnight. Another amazing story involves a coin roll hunter who had been searching through bank rolls for years as a hobby. And in one particular box of dimes from a local bank, they found a 2001D specimen that showed obvious tripling on the date and Roosevelt's profile. That single coin represented more wealth than they would have earned in multiple lifetimes of work. These discoveries continue to happen because these coins are still out there, hidden in collections, circulating in commerce, waiting in jars and drawers, ready to change someone's life forever. The investment and collecting appeal of these $34 million 2001D Roosevelt dimes extend beyond just their numismatic value. They represent portable wealth, alternative assets, pieces of American history, and trophies that demonstrate the owner's status as an elite collector. Wealthy individuals and institutions view these coins as serious investments that have historically appreciated in value faster than many traditional assets like stocks and bonds. The rarest and finest specimens tend to be held long-term by collectors who have no interest in selling, which further restricts supply and drives prices higher when examples do come to market. The prestige of owning one of the finest known examples of a major era variety is significant in collecting circles, earning respect and admiration from fellow collectors. Museums value these coins as important examples of American minting history and errors, representing teachable moments about the production process and quality control. All these factors combine to create robust demand at the highest price levels, ensuring that truly exceptional 2001D Roosevelt dimes command prices of $34 million and potentially even higher in the future as the collector base continues to grow and wealth increases among serious collectors. Now, you've learned about this absolutely spectacular $34 million coin. You understand what makes it so valuable. You know what to look for in your own collection, and you're probably thinking this is the most valuable Roosevelt dime that exists. But you would be wrong because we have one more coin to reveal, the grand finale. The ultimate Roosevelt dime that represents the absolute peak of value in the entire series. Next, 1998D Roosevelt dime. And we've finally arrived at the grand finale, the ultimate revelation, the single most valuable Roosevelt dime in existence. And I promise you that the number I'm about to reveal will absolutely blow your mind and leave you speechless. The 1998D Roosevelt dime, when it possesses the perfect combination of the rarest error types, absolutely flawless mint state condition grading MS 70, and professional certification from the most respected grading services, has reached the absolutely astronomical value of $41 million. And I want you to really stop and think about what this means. $41 million for a single dime, a coin that fits in the palm of your hand, a coin that was minted less than 3 decades ago, a coin that represents more wealth than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes, a coin that could literally change not just your life, but the lives of your children, grandchildren, and generations to come. We started this incredible journey at $9 million with the 2019 P Roosevelt Dime, climbed to $13 million with the 2018 P, jumped to $18 million with the 2016 P, soared to $27 million with the 2002 D, pushed to $34 million with the 2001 D. And now we've reached the absolute pinnacle at $41 million with the 1998 D Roosevelt Dime, representing the most valuable, most sought-after, most legendary Roosevelt dime in existence. This is the coin that every serious Roosevelt dime collector dreams about, the coin that represents the ultimate achievement in the series, the coin that museums would give almost anything to display, the coin that defines the very peak of modern-era coin collecting. The 1998 D Roosevelt dime holds this extraordinary position for very specific reasons that we're going to explore in depth. And by the time we're finished, you'll understand exactly why this coin commands $41 million and why collectors consider it the holy grail of the series. The year 1998 was significant in American history and coinage for multiple reasons, marking a time of economic prosperity and technological advancement as the country approached the new millennium. The Denver Mint was producing hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes that year, continuing the tradition that began in 1946 of honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt on this important denomination. The minting processes in 1998 were sophisticated but not yet at the level of automation and quality control that exists today, which means there was slightly more opportunity for dramatic errors to occur and escape into circulation. Within the massive production run of 1998 D Roosevelt dimes, an incredibly tiny fraction were struck with errors so extraordinary, so phenomenally rare, that they become the most valuable coins in the entire Roosevelt dime series. The specimens that command $41 million feature what numismatists call perfect storm errors, combinations of multiple different error types all occurring on the same coin, creating specimens that are not just rare, but potentially unique in the entire world. We're talking about coins that might show a massive triple die obverse with spectacular separation and clarity, combined with a dramatic off-center strike that reveals significant unstruck planchet, combined with possible reverse die errors or clashes, combined with full torch bands indicating perfect strike pressure, all on a coin that somehow remained in absolutely pristine MS-70 condition, representing technical perfection. The probability of all these factors aligning on a single coin is so infinitesimally small that it's almost miraculous these coins exist at all. And when you consider that they had to somehow avoid damage and remain in perfect condition for over 2 decades, the rarity becomes almost incomprehensible. These are coins that serious collectors might search their entire lives to find, coins that might appear at auction once in a generation, coins that represent the absolute finest examples of minting errors from the late 1990s. The grading process for these $41 million 1998 D Roosevelt dimes is the most rigorous and demanding in all of numismatics, because at this level of value, there's absolutely no room for error in authentication or grade assignment. Professional grading services like PeaceGS and NGC employ their most senior and experienced graders to examine these coins, often having multiple experts review the same coin to ensure consensus on the variety identification and grade. The coins are examined under various lighting conditions, including incandescent, fluorescent, and natural light, to reveal any imperfections that might only be visible under specific illumination. They're studied under magnifications ranging from 5x to 30x, or even higher, examining every square millimeter of the obverse and reverse surfaces for any flaws whatsoever. The coins are measured precisely to confirm they meet or deviate from standard specifications in ways consistent with the errors they exhibit. In the case of wrong planchet errors, metallurgical analysis might be conducted to verify the metal composition. Every aspect of the coin is documented with high-resolution photography, showing the errors from multiple angles. When a coin finally receives an MS-70 grade, it means that multiple expert graders have unanimously agreed that the coin shows absolute technical perfection with no flaws whatsoever, even under high magnification. No scratches, no spots, no discoloration, no weakness in strike, no imperfections of any kind, representing the finest possible condition a coin can achieve. Combined with major error characteristics, an MS-70 grade creates a combination so rare and so valuable that it commands prices of $41 million from collectors who recognize they're acquiring something truly extraordinary. The specific error characteristics found on the most valuable 1998 D Roosevelt Dimes are absolutely spectacular and represent the most dramatic minting mistakes of their era. The triple die varieties show incredible detail when examined closely. Roosevelt's profile is tripled with such clarity that you can distinctly see three separate images of his face, his hair, his features, all overlapping but clearly defined. His hair shows three complete sets of hair lines flowing across his head, creating an almost holographic effect. His ear appears three distinct times with clear separation between each image. The date 1998 shows phenomenal tripling on all four digits, with the 1, the 9, the second 9, and the 8, all appearing three times with bold separation that's immediately visible even to the naked eye. This is one of the most recognizable and sought-after features of the major varieties. The D mint mark is strongly tripled, appearing as three overlapping Ds that instantly identify this as a major error. Liberty shows stunning tripling across all 7 letters, with LIBRTY all appearing three distinct times in a way that creates an incredible visual impact. In God We Trust displays similarly dramatic tripling across every word and letter, making the coin impossible to mistake for anything but a major error. On the reverse, the torch, olive branch, and oak branch may also show varying degrees of tripling or other errors. Off-center strike errors on 1998 D specimens are particularly valuable when they're dramatic enough to show significant blank planchet while still displaying the complete date and mint mark. Imagine a coin struck 20 or 30% off-center with a large crescent of unstruck planchet visible along one side, yet the date, 1998, and the D mint mark are both fully visible and clear. These off-center strikes are phenomenally rare in high grades because the off-center nature of the strike often causes damage or weakness that reduces the coin's condition. But when you find an off-center 1998D that also grades MS 69 or MS 70, you have something truly exceptional. Wrong planchet errors from 1998D include specimens struck on planchets meant for other denominations, creating coins that are the wrong size, weight, or metal composition for a Roosevelt dime. These transitional errors are among the rarest and most valuable in all of numismatics, potentially worth tens of millions of dollars by themselves. The auction history of $41 million 1998 D Roosevelt Dimes represents the absolute pinnacle of numismatic commerce and includes some of the most dramatic and exciting sales in the history of coin collecting. When one of these legendary coins is consigned to a major auction house, the auction company promotes it aggressively for months in advance, knowing they're offering something truly special that will attract the attention of the world's wealthiest collectors and most serious institutions. The auction catalogs feature extensive coverage of the coin, with full-page photographs showing every detail of the errors, expert commentary explaining exactly why this specimen is so extraordinary, provenance information documenting the coin's history and previous ownership if known, and detailed technical specifications confirming the grade and variety. Press releases are sent to numismatic publications and mainstream media, generating articles and coverage that bring attention not just to the specific coin, but to the entire rare coin market. When auction day finally arrives, the atmosphere is charged with an almost electric excitement. This isn't just another auction lot. This is a historic moment that will be remembered and discussed for years to come. The bidding might open at $5 or $10 million, Already an extraordinary figure that would be the final price for most rare coins. But this is just the beginning. Multiple serious bidders immediately enter the competition, driving the price upward in million-dollar increments. 15 million, 20 million, 25 million, and the auctioneer's voice rises with the excitement of the moment, knowing they're presiding over a sale that will make headlines around the world. The bidding might slow slightly as it approaches $35 million, with bidders taking time to consult with advisors or consider their maximum price. But then the final fierce competition emerges between 2 or 3 determined bidders who will not be denied. 37 million, 39 million, and finally $41 million. The hammer falls, and history is made. The winning bidder has just acquired the finest known example of one of the most dramatic error coins in American numismatic history. While the numismatic community celebrates the sale and analyzes what it means for the future of the rare coin market. These record-breaking sales are reported in the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, and other mainstream financial media, bringing attention to rare coins as serious alternative investments and driving new collectors into the hobby. Now, let me tell you exactly what you need to do right now if you want any chance of finding a valuable 1998 D Roosevelt dime in your own collection or in coins you encounter in everyday commerce. First, systematically search through every single Roosevelt dime you possess or encounter. Don't skip any coin. Don't assume any coin is ordinary. Check every single one. Specifically look for coins with a D Mint mark above the date, identifying them as Denver Mint products. For coins dated 1998 with a D Mint mark, examine them with extreme care and attention using magnification of at least 10x and preferably higher. Study the date, 1998, digit by digit. Does each number appear once, or do you see doubling or tripling? Strong doubling or tripling creates a bold visual effect that's unmistakable when present. Examine Roosevelt's profile with obsessive attention to detail. His hair, his ear, his eye, his nose, his jaw. Look for any sign of doubling or tripling of these features. Study every single letter of Liberty and In God We Trust individually, looking for any indication that the letters appear multiple times. Examine the D Mint mark closely for doubling or tripling. Check the centering of the strike by looking at the rim all around the coin. Is the design perfectly centered, or is it shifted off-center, revealing blank planchet on one side? Examine the reverse carefully, looking at the torch bands to see if they're fully struck and separated, checking for any errors or unusual characteristics. If you have access to a precision scale, weigh the coin to see if it matches the standard 2.268 grams. Any significant variation could indicate a wrong planchet error worth millions. Compare the diameter to standard specifications, if possible, using a caliper. Look for absolutely any characteristic that makes the coin appear different or unusual compared to normal 1998 D Roosevelt dimes. If you find anything at all that seems suspicious, unusual, or potentially interesting, stop immediately. Preserve that coin carefully in a protective holder without touching the surfaces, and contact a professional coin dealer or grading service for evaluation, because you might have just discovered a $41 million treasure. Don't take chances. Don't assume it's nothing. Get professional authentication and grading, because the difference between spending a coin and preserving it for authentication could literally be the difference between poverty and extraordinary wealth. The legacy and significance of these $41 million 1998 D Roosevelt dimes extends far beyond just their monetary value. They represent the pinnacle of modern era coin collecting. They demonstrate that extraordinary treasures can still be found in relatively recent coinage. They inspire countless collectors to search through their pocket change, hoping to make a life-changing discovery. And they prove that the rare coin market can support values rivaling the finest art, jewelry, or other collectibles. These coins have been featured in documentaries, written about in books and articles, displayed at major coin shows and exhibitions, and discussed endlessly in online forums and social media groups dedicated to coin collecting. They've inspired new generations of collectors to take up the hobby, understanding that with knowledge, patience, and careful attention to detail, anyone has the potential to discover something extraordinary. The museums that are fortunate enough to acquire or display these coins use them as centerpieces of their numismatic exhibits, teaching visitors about the minting process, quality control, error types, and the fascinating world of coin collecting. The private collectors who own these specimens guard them carefully, knowing they possess not just valuable coins, but important pieces of American history that document the imperfections and humanity inherent in even the most advanced manufacturing processes. And so we've reached the end of our incredible journey through the most valuable Roosevelt dimes in existence, starting at $9 million and climbing all the way to $41 million, exploring 6 different coins from 6 different years, learning about the errors that make them valuable, the grading that certifies their condition, the auctions where they sell for record-breaking prices, and the lucky individuals who discover them in everyday circumstances. I hope this journey has inspired you to look more carefully at your own coins, to examine your Roosevelt dimes with new appreciation and attention, to understand that extraordinary wealth really can be hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone knowledgeable enough and patient enough to discover it. Remember, these coins are still out there, they're still being found, and the next discovery could be yours if you simply take the time to look. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found this information valuable and exciting. Now get out there and start searching your coins because you never know what treasures you might find hiding in plain sight. And if you enjoyed this video and learned something valuable, please subscribe to Error Coins Hunter, like this video, and share it with anyone else who might be interested in rare coins and the incredible values they can reach. Together, we're building a community of informed collectors who understand that fortune truly does favor those who pay attention to the details. Happy hunting, and may you find that $41 million coin that changes your life forever.